What would be the benefit, do you think, of giving Zeke 5 quarters off going into these playoffs?
Uh, I don't know, I haven't really thought about the quarters. I just know having pretty heavy workload up until the 16th game, more so than really anybody. I think he got more carries than anybody did in 16 games and 15 games. So that can't hurt to have some time to freshen up, especially as a running back. And I know it's not really uncommon either. Those guys do the same thing with those heavy workload guys in college bowl games. They have that time where they have a heavy workload. They don't do a whole lot going into that game. So I think it's good for especially backs to have a little time off. Certainly doesn't hurt.
Going back to Dez's catch, do you know now better than you did then what is a catch in the NFL?
You know, I mean, I get asked that all the time, but it's a difficult way to kind of decide. I mean, because it's really, they've got probably the best answer if you get a couple feet down, maybe 3 steps before you go down. You can be a runner, but if it's not real clear, you just got to finish the catch at the ground. And we certainly have our opinion of whether it was a catch or not. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, one thing it's made a really kind of an important part of our coaching is that regardless who's receiving the ball, if you're going to the ground, you make it really easy if you can just maintain that possession. So I think that's the biggest emphasis from all that.
Have you changed how you coach that? What do you tell the guys?
No, that was a bang play. He's trying to reach out and score. No, those happen, but we're conscious. We're conscious of it. Talk about it more. But shoot, that was one of the greatest plays that wasn't. But that's the game. There's going to be judgment calls that go your way or don't go your way, and unfortunately for us, and it's old news, it didn't. But it's not a focus for us. It just seems to be a hot button because of those close bang type plays.
Does having a rookie starting quarterback and a rookie running back change the way you call plays early in the game to try to get them in, or the way you prepare them this week?
Oh, I don't think so. They're not rookies anymore in our mind. Just kind of pick up in a similar way that we do each week, getting ready for the next opponent and get ready for this ball game.
For that reason, is there? I mean, he's always got a little extra zip, but does Dez have a little something extra because it's Green Bay this week?
Really not focus on the opponent. We know who our opponent is. Respect them very much, but our focus is on the next game and getting ready to play the best football we can.
It's got to follow up kind of Ed's question a little bit, but obviously game 1, New York Giants, you said, okay, we got a rookie quarterback, we're going to have to do this, keep him out of this. At what point did you approach it that, okay, at what point did he kind of pass the test of, we don't have a rookie quarterback in there anymore, we got a guy who can really handle and operate all?
I think each week passed. I don't think there was a certain day or game. You get through the first month and you get in the second month and third month, fourth month. There's progress made there.
So just kind of build?
Yeah.
Was there one game though where you said, wow, that we got we turned the corner?
I don't think really there was. I think there was. I look back on the first Philadelphia game. It wasn't perfect, but just being able to finish the way we did in the game, and that's what I remember the discussion with Dak after the game. I said, that's kind of a real pro football game right there. You're going to have some real ebbs and flows in this league, playing all the great opponents we have, and we played a great defense that day, and to be able to come out on top after it wasn't perfect, but there were some good moments and tough moments, but to be able to play your best when your best was needed, that's a good sign. I think if you're going to point to a game, I would point to that one as one.
How much did the Seattle game tell you about him in the preseason?
Oh yeah, I think that was what it showed me. He was ready, to get called upon. He was the backup going into the game, knowing it was going to be primarily Tony's reps, and he was going to play some in the second half, but didn't really know. But immediately was put in that position as the number 2 guy to come in and play against their number ones, and it was really that preseason. We don't really refer to it as the real game, but it was the more of the dress rehearsal game, and be able to go in and play against that type of a defense and play as efficient and effective as he did, especially early without any, really didn't show any sign of nerves or anything. I thought that was that was a good moment for him, and it was for kind of showing his teammates that he's ready for this.
Mark Sanchez said yesterday that the biggest thing he noticed with Dak in terms of not being like a rookie, so he doesn't have to be taught something twice. He figures something out one time. In a 3rd down and 10 situation, don't want to make a long field goal more difficult.
Yeah.
He takes a sack one time and then doesn't take it the second. He learns from that the one time, and that's it. Have you seen some of that in terms of how he learns from each individual situation?
Yeah, that's a sign of what you're looking for in these quarterbacks at this level. I always go back to he had great training as from his coaching and his playing in Mississippi State and in the SEC. He was playing against big time arenas against big time defenses each and every week, and having to he learned a lot there. So I felt like he was far more advanced than a lot of guys are for that reason coming in. But I agree with Mark. He's a fast learner, and you got to learn by playing. But you don't see the repeat offenses from him. That's what you want to see in your quarterbacks.
How good has that quarterback room been for him?
Well, I think it's been great. A lot of knowledge. He starts with our head coach and Jason and then Wade as coaches, and then there's the wealth of knowledge at different levels. With Tony is the guy that's been around the longest. Then it's Mark, and then it's Kellen. These guys all have great value to helping him, and he's. I've always said Dak's a sponge, a genuine sponge. He's not trying to make friends with those guys just by asking them questions. He wants to know as much as he can, and uses their wealth of knowledge, to his benefit. And so it's a great room for a young guy like him to have that kind of experience and that kind of guys around him that can help him.
The other Des story.
Had a hard time coming up with a time he had been nervous. Have you ever seen him where you thought he's a little nervous right now?
You said Dak?
Dak said, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that in him. I think that's one of his greatest qualities is his, he's kind of got ice in his veins, his poise, whatever it is. I don't know. That's I don't really see a lot of guys getting too much, nerve-wracked out there as far as the quarterbacks at this level. But you tend to see it in younger guys. My thing is just seeing the look in guys' eyes, like pre-game warm-ups. He never ever has that look. He always has this look of calmness and controlled, and it's a big asset for him.
The other Dez storyline in this game is that he obviously wasn't available to you guys the first time you guys played Green Bay. I know it's somewhat obvious, but how different can your offense be when he's out there as compared to Week 6?
Well, you can't replace Dez when he's not out there, so he's certainly it's a benefit to have him back. What that is the attention he gets is unique. Some other guys in this league get that as well. Opens things up for the other guys, but it still always gives us that that guy you can count on when we're throwing the football to win that one-on-one matchup when you get it. So it's huge to have him back.
What do you see different about the Packers defense now compared to the first game?
Well, they always play well in my opinion, but they're playing that style of defense where they got those multiple personnel groupings, unique. They'll play sub defensive packages against personnel groupings that nobody else does, and it makes it challenging for us to identify who's who and give them credit for how they do it. They got multiple secondary players that play, so it matches up for them in the passing game. But they play very physical football with those guys. It's one of the top 10 teams in the league against the rush, so that's unique, and that creates the challenge for us. And we've got to go out and answer that challenge. But I give them a lot of credit. They get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They don't necessarily have to do it with a blitz. They get a lot of hands-on balls in the back end. So they're really good.
How unique and valuable.
He's ever gone to the Super Bowl. What traits does Dak have that says that this is a guy that could?
Well, we're not talking about the Super Bowl right now. We got our first playoff game. So he's certainly got the traits to win. He's shown that this year, and really believe he's going to have a real good effort here on Sunday, and we'll focus on the next game after that.
How unique and valuable is his natural inclination to be protective of the football?
Well, it's valuable. I mean, that's probably the number one job of a quarterback to be aggressive with the ball while you're taking care of it. You know, it's like you're talking out both sides of your mouth when you say that. But he, you know, he's learned that. Like I probably say this 100 times. You know, his training through his time from playing high school to college at the level he did into the NFL in his first year shows a lot of maturity that way. I just think he's very mindful of it and knows that, you know, without it we're not going to score, and without it we're not going to win. So he's been really great at that.
What was Des like in the wake or in the aftermath of the catch that wasn't?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember having a conversation with him any different. We were disappointed in that game, but again, that's 2 years ago. So we've all moved on and getting ready for this challenge.
And I know, you know, he had the contract situation and then he was injured so much of last season, but did you see anything last season from him coming off that, you know, resolve or anything like that?
Yeah, he came back and he was in a great place this year. I know it was a year that he had to learn from. It was probably a year that, you know, he none of us were really all that proud of, right? But we all had to learn from it, and it was the humbling part of that put I think everybody in a better position for this year, and learn from that season and get ready for this year. I've seen not only just Des, but you know, other players on this football team, coaches included, that really went back to the drawing board and you know, made sure that some of the things that didn't go well we were going to not repeat this year, and that's a testament to our, you know, Coach Garrett and his leadership of this football team.
Hail Marys are looked at as like such a luck play, but Aaron's executed 3 in the last 2 years. Why do you think he's been able to do that?
Well, he can throw it 100 yards, so it doesn't matter where it is. So that might be one, but I just think, you know, he's one of the most uniquely gifted players, physically and mentally. You know, the game's never over, and he's made those plays. And you know, the guys have gotten in good position, but they've been great throws, been great catches by guys too. You know, so I don't know how he does it, but I know being able to wing it as far as he does and throw it as high as he does makes a difference.
You can throw it 100 yards straight up.
It looks like a punt when he throws the ball. Unbelievable.
Given that you have 2 really talented quarterbacks heading into the playoffs, has Romo received any extra reps this week? Have you guys done anything extra to make sure that he's ready for that particular game?
Well, we had the bye week, so we had extra reps there, and probably had more in that bye week than it normally would, right? So that took advantage of that. And this week it's been pretty standard as far as how the reps go, pretty normal. But the bye week, I think, was a definite benefit to get not only Tony but other guys more reps than they normally get.
Why? In college, you'll see sometimes they'll bring in another quarterback and try and mix things up. Why in the pro game do you never see that?
I don't know. I've never done it, so I don't really know why they do it at other levels. But I think teams that do that don't have a quarterback. They have one guy that can do something and another guy can do something, and together they're a quarterback. That's my opinion. So when you got guys like Tony or Dak that are complete players, you know, you're sticking with one. And then the other guy's got to be ready to go.
So in other words, you have no plans to do that?
I don't know. We're thinking about we got red zone tomorrow. We might put in a 2 quarterback play.
How exciting.
It's a good idea. I think we might do it.
Thanks.
Tony run with it.
Yeah, Tony will be the runner. Dak will be the thrower. I don't know. We'll come up with something.
So there's never been any point in your coaching career where you've ever done that?
Oh, we've done a couple. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I've done a couple. Just haven't been a 2 quarterback. You know, being a quarterback myself, it wasn't very good, but played quarterback. You know, knowing you're going to be the starter is, I think, an important part of it, and I think it kind of is tough to get into any kind of rhythm or flow if you're rotating guys. But has anyone done it in the NFL?
Cowboys did it here with Staubach and Morton.
Wow.
I
think you're
right. They actually
right.
did the plays.
I'm not as good a coach as Coach Landry, so I wouldn't know how to do it. He might be the only one that could pull that off.
Yeah.